Hey everybody, welcome back to Everyday Journey. Today we're going to work on the tractor. I said in a previous video when I introduced this thing that it has a coolant leak. So I've got it here in the shop. Show you how I got it in here real quick, and then we'll go ahead and see how to take it apart and figure out where the problem is. It was definitely a tight squeeze. So who knows how it's going to be to film this, but I had to prop the bucket up like this. I think it'll be safe enough. I'm not planning on being under it. And in this thing, that's just basically to keep the hydraulics from leaking down. I've released all the hydraulic pressure right now, so it is sitting on top of that. Shouldn't go down any further. And if it does have some back pressure in there, so it will hopefully go down slowly if it comes down. But this is what I can do for now. So I'll get out here and we'll take it apart and see if we can't get down to find out where the leak is. First we got to take off these basically dust covers. They're spring loaded. We just pull them forward and you can lift them up. And then once you do that, you got them loose, you can go ahead and detach the spring. And for our purposes, we can leave the spring there. We just have to make sure that it doesn't get in the way of anything. Same thing on the other side. Next thing we got to do is actually start getting this off. I could probably look around in here and find it, and depending on what's wrong with it, maybe able to access it and without taking off the hood. But I want to do that anyway because I want to really get a look at everything. I've not looked at this yet, and I want to make sure that I can kind of check and see what problems I have, something that I maybe need to check out here in the future or something like that. So next thing we need is a 1/2-inch wrench, and right here and then right back here is 2 1/2-inch bolts, or nuts, sorry, to take off so that we can remove this. Same thing on the other side, so make sure and take those off too. All right here, I'm going to take off the fuel cap, the diesel cap, and then right here, make sure that the tractor is cool before you go taking this radiator cap off. You don't want to have it spray everywhere and get you burnt. And so now I'm going to take the stuff out of my pockets and go ahead and take this mic off so that I can get up here, because this is going to be lifting this thing all the way up over the top of this thing. All right, let's fire this thing back up. First, let's put the caps back on. All right, so we're on the other side of this, and I actually had to take it out, actually drive it around a little bit to get it warmed up well enough to actually show anything, because it wouldn't leak at all. And what I got is, I think this hose that's going directly into the top, I'm pretty sure that's the water pump that's right here. That hose that's going directly into the top, I believe is leaking. It shows signs that it has leaked in the past, although everything that's around this fan right here is kind of, I guess whatever's been leaking onto the fan, and it's been slinging it out and basically everywhere around here. So if it got onto the fan itself, it slung it up and around, and it could have gotten to any of these, and you know, dust just collects on there and all that. So what I got to do is actually go through and clean everything up the best I can, and then try to get it to leak some more, or maybe hopefully while cleaning it I can find that leak. So I'm not really happy with the way the cleaning's going on this, because there's just not a lot of room in there. So what I attempted to do is take off the fan shroud right here, but you really can't get it out of there, can't even move it around, because it's trapped up against here, and also the fan shroud, or the fan itself, is in the way. So I'm actually going to try to remove this radiator, and that way I can get everything cleaned up and then put it back together, fill it back up, and then run it and see if I can. And at the same time, I think I'm going to not put the fan shroud on it, so I can see in there a lot better. So, but yeah, it should be fairly simple. First thing I'm going to do is drain the radiator, and should be able to see right here, there at the bottom. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. So there's a little nozzle, a little valve, so you can go ahead and undo that, drain the radiator. I've got a hose on the end of it there. Going down, there's a hole right there at the bottom. It's going down and going into a 5-gallon bucket. So hopefully this won't be too bad, too messy. We'll go ahead and drain it, and then we'll start actually removing the hoses and stuff. All right, so you didn't get to see it, but this is the first of 2 bolts. It actually, you get to it from underneath over here, and it goes up underneath and tightens down on top of or tightens up to the radiator. It does have a spring on it, and you may or may not have the same issue that I had, where the steering linkage, it looks like, was actually in my way. So it was a little complicated, but you could use a swivel or something to get to it, or multiple extensions, switching them out so that you don't get it caught. But either way, it's easy to get out. Now I just got to go over to the other side and get the other one out. Like I said, it comes from underneath and bolts to the bottom of this radiator. So here's the second side, and as you can see, here's the bolt right inside here, but you have to get into it from the underside. So I'll go ahead and take it out real quick. It's the only way you're going to be able to see it. I'm not going to be able to hold this light, so you can watch if you like. here's what it looks like now that I've got the water pump off of here. It looks, I mean, it was leaking out down here at the bottom and leaking onto this. Not sure what this is yet, but leaking onto this. That's what I showed in the video. And I'm kind of thinking that it might have been leaking through the hoses. These are the oil, I believe they call it the oil coolant lines. And it definitely was leaking in the area at the bottom here, which could have been coming from the center shaft coming out where the pump is. Could have, but it didn't, and I'll show you that. Well, actually, since I really can't tell right here what's going on, besides the fact that it was leaking, let me show you the bottom of the water pump. All right, so here's the bottom of the water pump. These are the oil coolant lines, and you can see it's all just kind of ate up around here. All the paint's gone off of it and stuff. So it could have been leaking at these hoses. You can see right here the condition of these hoses is not the best. This one's a little worse than this one. And the pump itself, you know, it could have been leaking from up underneath here where the shaft comes out. And it could have been leaking from the very bottom, who knows. So as we can see, here's the back plate of the water pump. This actually needs to come off of here. Should be sealed up along the edges. Since we got the bolts out of it, this shouldn't be that bad. Just a matter of breaking the seal. I'll tell you one of the things we can try, just so we're not messing up any surfaces any more than we have to. This looks like it's threaded right here. So what we can try is to pick a hole that we can actually gain access to with the hammer. Thread this in just a little bit, and then there we go. Just tapping on the end of the bolt, and it breaks our seal for us. And now we pull it apart and look at the rest. So everything here, I mean, this thing was working before, so I don't think there's anything wrong with the pump itself. If anything, it could be that the seal around this shaft is leaking, or it was just leaking around the outside of this, or it could be the hoses. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, now that this is opened up, I'm going to clean it up real well, get all this gunk and stuff out of here, and then I'm going to basically use the same process. On this video it says how to make water pump gaskets, and it's by Rat Rods for Africa. There are probably tons and tons of videos out there to explain this, but that's one of the first ones I came across. And I was basically just looking at it to review it because I kind of already knew. What I was really looking for is what to use for the actual gasket. And so it gave me that information, but you guys can check out their video. I'll put a link up here. Well, I'll put a card up here and put a link in the description. If you want to, you can check out their video. And but I'm just going to follow exactly what they did. We're going to go ahead and get this back together. And when I do that, what it's going to do for me is it's going to pretty much guarantee that the leak is fixed around where the seal is, and then it's going to fix the leak around the around where the hose was at, because I've actually got a replacement piece of hose right here. Let me go ahead and do a shout out real quick. This is AutoZone. I went around to several different places. AutoZone was the only one that had it. May not be able to use it, but it'll work good for a test. I may have to get the one that's actually, because this actually does have a little bit of a 90 degree turn that it has to do, and I'm not sure if this is going to kink up or not, but it will work for testing purposes, just to guarantee that we're not getting our leak from the hose. And they actually just gave it to me. It's probably just a little short piece that they had left over, maybe at the end of one of the rolls or something like that. And but yeah, they gave it to me, so we're going to go ahead and do a shout out for them because they're awesome. I'll try to keep this gasket intact because I think I can actually use it to trace out for to make a new one, versus actually taking the hammer that they did, which works. Shouldn't really matter either way. this would just be easier if I can get this off kind of in one piece. So we set that aside so we can make another one. Now I just got to clean these surfaces up between the two. All right, so the moment of truth now. The radiator's filled back up. We got the all the hoses and everything hooked back up. The only thing that is not going on here is we don't have the fan on here and we don't have the fan shroud. And that's just so we don't have the air blowing everything all over the place so we can't tell where it's leaking from. And we also don't have the fan shroud on there because you can't see anything with that in the way. So of course this is going to have to come back apart one more time if it's not leaking in order to put that stuff back on. Hopefully I can stuff it in there, but I doubt I can. I've cleaned it up really well. Whenever I put the RTV on the gaskets and all that, I did follow the instructions on it, which basically said to cover it, put it on, and then just put it finger tight for an hour. Then come back after an hour and go ahead and torque it down, and then wait 24 hours. And now we're at basically 24 hours. It's the next day, and hopefully everything's good. So we're going to go ahead and crank it up. I've looked, I don't see any leaks currently, but it should heat up fairly quickly without that fan and fan shroud on there. And so it should pressurize in there and should show us if we're going to be leaking anything. And we'll just see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and start it up. Well, there you go. You saw it in operation. It's working. It's not dripping anymore. It does have other leaks on it that I'm going to have to address later. But it was interesting. I was able to get in here. I was able to repair this thing. Never worked on a tractor before in my life. I just understand the basic principles of the engine, which is kind of goes same as cars, most cars, lawnmowers, things like that, and just get not afraid to tackle it. The cost of the repairs were, I don't know, I may have like $20 into it. All I had to get was the RTV and the gasket material. So, and of course it was my mistake. I did have to buy that hose too. And I would have had to buy the other hose had AutoZone not given me that piece. But that probably wouldn't have been maybe $10 too. So, you know, for $30 or so, I would have been good. I did have to pay about $25, $30 or whatever for that one hose. But I probably could have reused the first one had I not put it in there and had it rubbing against the belt. And it didn't go all the way through, so it never leaked because of that. What it did though is I noticed as I was taking things back apart so I could put it back together finally, that it had rubbed through most of it. And it was going to fail later anyway, so it's probably best that I just went ahead and replaced it. So hopefully you liked the video. Hopefully this showed you that you too can tackle things like this on your own. Like I said, never worked on a tractor before, but it's just like everything else. Just a matter of getting in there, understanding it, and not being afraid to do it. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and like, subscribe, and definitely come back and see what else I got, because this is my life now, farm life. That's all I got for now, so until next time, y'all take care.